Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, starting today, according to the Come Follow Me Old Testament manuals, you now are studying, right? You don't just sit in class and listen. Been a Mormon my whole life, I know you. March 23rd to 29th, Exodus 1 to 6. You're in it now. The Exodus story of Moses. And so next week, 30th to the 5th of April, Passover, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints reveals themselves as Lucifer, the enemy of all mankind, the traitors that they are. Easter, isn't that for the New Testament only? And even then it's wrong, because Christians, as Joseph Smith said, do you believe Joseph Smith? Do you follow the words of Joseph Smith? No, you don't. All wrong, all abominable, all corrupt. There is no truth in Christianity. What religion are you again, Mormon? You are traitors to Joseph Smith. You betrayed the Book of Mormon. There it is, right there on the screen. The Babylonian goddess Ishtar, who, with the help of Marduk, with the Ur of Babylon temple, saved the Jews from the Persians. You don't study, you don't know the book of Esther. And so the next week after that, April 6th to the 12th, they then go over the Exodus. Granted, that is the Passover week. But what the hell is Easter doing in there? They could have easily added in another lesson to move that to become Exodus 1 to 6. Plenty of stories in Genesis. There's Genesis 38, I think it is, about Tamar. Mormons want to hear that story, don't they? It was March 9th to the 15th. I'm willing to bet they skipped it. I'm willing to bet, as long as it's the right chapter. Yep, tomorrow. The church loves this one. No fap. That's why. Don't be a harlot, women. Corey. You didn't kill your husband, but you're an adulteress, so you have to be punished. Yeah. Mormons threw stones at the adulterer when Jesus said, if any of you have not committed sin, you may cast the first stone. Mormons all stood up and threw the stones. Kill the witch. That's not the crime she was being accused of. Oh, Mormons, traitors, betrayers, insurrectionists, insubordination, betrayal. So, how many of you think you know the Exodus story? A non-priesthood leader who's just a regular elder, just a regular priesthood elder, has a dream of his mission call. He was promised it was only going to be 3 years and not 10. So he talks to the elders, letter to the presidency of the 70. I am come to take over the church, for the leaders of the church are wicked and corrupt. And he sues in Pharaoh's court. Pharaoh says no. He proves that he is the keys of Moses, that he is the seer, the prophet, the revelator, the translator, spirit. Acronym. He makes predictions. He gives the days and the hours. And true to form of his moving dream of 101 times 2, both Monson and Nelson bite the big one at 10:01. 10:01, 10:01, 101, 101, 202. The moving dream. You didn't see that in the Exodus story? It's right there. Right, Nelson? He parts the waters as the dry land appears at the Green River overpass. He showed, thinking it was showtime. And then he finds out 4 years later it was only a test run and Jesus of dress rehearsal failed to show. In my dreams this morning, I had a rare appearance from my dad. This is for government. And yeah, I knew in advance that the moon is now in the transfer of authority constellation. There at the little beehive cluster. In my dream, my dad and I came to this abandoned, not sure if it was a warehouse or not really a house per se, but it was kind of run down and degrading from the weather and such. There were several ceilings or roofs, depending on where you're located, that collapsed into the building. Just like the wedding, the place that was held, was it New Hampshire or something like that? Saw that in the news over the weekend. The wedding floor for the dancing collapsed. Many of the guests had to go to the hospital. Dear God. And I saw the photos, and yeah, dear God, it was well worn. It's been around for a long time, and it collapsed finally. But yeah, that was the type of condition of the building in my dream. My dad and I went to the roof and were making our way through it, through the fallen roof, through the tunnel system that was made up there. We were just checking it out and scoping it out and considering obtaining from it for a transfer to us. Sure enough, the second time around, that's what my dad was doing. He was taking off planks and setting them up in the adjoining building there in the garage area, maintenance garage, whatever it was, storing it up. And I was helping him. A transfer of authority. But there's a final four in the Exodus story that must be adhered to, and the church won't get to it until Passover week, as they take a station identification break for the abominable church's Easter. And that is, the great and abominable church of Pharaoh must fall. That the son of Pharaoh must not ascend to the throne. The successor to Pharaoh must not ascend to the throne. Passover is for the transfer of authority to this non-priesthood leader. It's his church. He has the keys of authority. He has the Spirit. Seer, prophet, revelator, translator. Pharaoh doesn't. Pharaoh is so inept at his job. That isn't the right word, isn't it? Probably should check. So incompetent, he gets his priests to attempt to recreate the authority that Moses has. And they fail. My snake eats yours. Bleep-pew. Having or showing no skill. Yeah. Whew, that was a close call. Pharaoh is not the rightful king. Moses is. And his kingdom falls with the death of his successor. We're not allowed to ascend to the throne of Moses. It's his. He's not in leadership. He's even been cast out of the church. Ooh, you didn't catch that one either, did you? Strengthening Church Members Committee sure did. Hello, Bishop? Yeah, Moses is being mean. He's got a YouTube video about how Adam fell that man might be, and this is going against the teachings of the living prophets of Jesus. Tell him to take it down, or why does he bother coming to church anymore? But wait, that's from the Book of Mormon, 2 Nephi chapter 2. The prophets don't preach that. Take it down. Take it down. But I thought this church was true. Are you challenging us? Should we call the stake president, President Lee? It is Moses' church. He's the king. It's his. Pharaoh is not authorized. It was usurped from Messiah ben Joseph Smith Jr. His church. 2 Nephi chapter 3. We all know that one, right? Verse 15. He shall have the same name as me, and he shall have the same name as his father. We all know that. They teach it. They have no problems teaching that. They just leave out verses 5 and 9. And I think it's 34, something like that. This guy. Section 103. The fall of the great and abominable church must occur. The transfer of authority to the Moses. No longer the man like Moses. He is the Moses. Then he calls for the Exodus, like Joseph Smith did after the Kirtland Temple. Getting the keys of Moses during the third day of Passover. And then you go build Zion. Because Armageddon is coming. King David Moses III taking on the Hittites. I got suckered into a news article by a somewhat reputable news agency about new Hittite documents. No, it's just the old stuff that I already know. I still got the video. Yeah, archaeologists found it in 1904 or something like that. They wear temple robes. They got the whole endowment ceremony portrayed on the walls, just like the Egyptians. But yeah, Pharaoh David Moses III of the 18th dynasty, David Moses, is with Mosiah as the first pharaoh. Mosiah as the first pharaoh. How did Mormon apologists in Egyptian miss this one? You're too busy throwing Joseph Smith under the bus, you traitors. Of the Amen priesthood, the sun god at noonday, for his sign. Sun, gotta include the sun. Don't leave out the sun. It's just the star of David, which is the moon, for the god David. The King of Kings. And in the midst of the battle of Armageddon, where David Moses III parted the mountains with a flank maneuver. It was awesome. He then went on vacation. Have fun storming the castle, boys. I'm going up to Salem. And he puts his foot on the mount. And there, the tribal leader of Salem. There's some concern. There may not have been a daughter for King David Moses III. It could have been the wife. There's repeated Genesis stories about this. not just the Bathsheba story. Nonetheless, the child born of the woman of Salem, the house of Salem, and King David Moses III, raised in Egypt, to return to Salem when the palace and the temple are built for him to suddenly come to transfer authority to the Son, to become Solomon, the King of Salem. The title, not the name. I've repeated that so many times, and I'm willing to bet the majority of you are new. Well, maybe not. I may be down again to 10 views per video. So 6 of you are not new. And the most of you are in the church office building in the Strengthening Church Members Committee. So this is what is meant by Joseph Smith in section 103, verses 15 through 18. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion. This is Joseph Smith, and he's talking about a prophecy of the future, that his church is going to get usurped by the bad Pharaoh. Can you guess who it is, boys and girls? Should I show the Netflix trailer? Mr. Keeps fleeing the country, must needs come by power. What power is Joseph Smith talking about? Physical strength? So you gotta beat up the living prophets of Jesus? Cage match? Do a body slam? Jump from the top ropes? Yeah, I bet you'd want to see that, wouldn't you? Mr. Cripple with a multi-personality disorder, Oaks. Yeah, in the WWE, those who are weak and obviously unfit can somehow win the matches. What the hell is that all about? McMahon? You've got these little women up against massive muscular steroid giants, and she wins the match? What, because she's in a bikini? What the bleeping hell kind of show is this? I remember those days. The famous one, Randy Macho Man Savage going up against Hulk Hogan. I can't remember her name at the moment, but I see her. I definitely see her. She just gets passed around. Wait a minute. You're passing around the women in the WWE? Oh my God. McMahon, you doing? Stop it. Almost got it in. We're not looking it up. Therefore, I will raise up. Joseph Smith was raised up in 2 Nephi chapter 3. Unto my people. This is a future Mormon. A man who shall lead them, my people. You do know English grammar enough, right? Like as Moses led the children of Israel. It is not the living prophets of Jesus. He is not a church leader. He is not even in the church anymore. He was cast out. And yet, it's his church. It belongs to him. Do we need to keep reading this until you understand it correctly? This is now the Sunday school lessons. Nelson changed things to make you study, giving you an extra hour on Sundays. To what? Go on vacation for an extra hour? I know you, and then you died in a base jumping accident. See, in the military, there would be a court-martial for the person who assembled the parachutes. Your fellow soldiers need to rely on you to do your job, to get those parachutes packed correctly, so that there is no malfunction, especially during wartime with Iran for Armageddon 2. But when you're a company, is the family going to be suing? They need to. But for regular operations of civilians, base jumping should not be done. It should be kept within war strategy for the military. As much as it's so fun to cheat death until you don't. Why are there so many people who want to commit suicide? I don't know. Nonetheless, another Mormon does not get to go to Zion. A fellow Mormon who is cast out of the church, who's the rightful head of the church. Are Mormons looking for him? No. He is not in leadership. Like as Moses. So you need to adhere to the story of Moses to know who he is. Supposed to have a staff with a serpent head. Supposed to have the signet. Supposed to know Egyptian, Paleo-Hebrew. He has dreams. He makes predictions of the future. He knows the day and the hour. Crap, we thought no man knew the day and the hour. He does. It's all over the scriptures. Really? Revelation chapter 12, huh? You couldn't figure out that was a day and hour. The sun is in Virgo, the moon is under her feet. She's got in Leo on her head 12 stars instead of the 9 designated ones, which means 3 additional planets. She's pregnant with Jupiter, and then you got to move verse 5 to verse 3. Saturn is in Ophiuchus, which means Mercury, Venus, and Mars are on her head in Leo. The full sign, dumbasses. Oh, this happens all the time. The sun is always in Virgo every single year, and then Jupiter is in her belly every so often. Keep going. Even the book of Revelation tells you not to take stuff out of it. Oh, a bunch of mental retards just like their leader. With multi-personality disorder and tardive dyskinesia and a chair brace to keep his body up from collapsing on the table. Cage match! No blood packs allowed, Trump. I called it when I saw it. Dear God, my ear, it was blown off. God saved my ear so that I can make America Great Britain again. You missed this whole CNN, McMahon, WWE, WrestleMania thing. I don't get you guys. I know. I use associative memory from my right brain. You guys forget, even though you reported it. So, Mormons are the children of Israel, the seed of Abraham. And Mormons must needs be led out of bondage. There's the Exodus. You're in bondage to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And you deny it? When Nelson said, yoke yourself to Jesus, and Oakes said, bind yourself to Jesus. So you're not in bondage when they told you to be in bondage. When you are in bondage, when you keep paying them tithing, when you keep going to church, when you keep declaring yourself a Mormon, when you go on a mission and you lie about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. You are traitors. You are betrayers of Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. These lessons are you being condemned for not following the scriptures. The words. The scriptures are not literal histories. Easter is Moses, not Jesus. It says so at the beginning of Matthew. The generations of Isaiah of Messiah ben David. Emmanuel. Oh look, there he is. Emmanuel. Not Jesus. Jesus is Isaiah. the great prophet Isaiah with the great scroll from the Dead Sea Scrolls of Isaiah. Jesus. It's his prophecies. That's the Jewish author of Matthew. It's all about Emmanuel, the man like David Moses III, the rightful successor to the throne of the Ammon priesthood. Of Mosiah, the founder of the 18th dynasty. How could you miss this? You shouldn't have missed this. This is children's level knowledge. Anybody can read this and go, oh, so it's not Moses, but it's like Moses. So Moses, yeah, he confronted Pharaoh. Pharaoh said no. He hurt the people, put them in bondage. You saw the 10 Commandments. You saw the Prince of Egypt. You saw Exodus, Gods and Kings. Maybe not. It's still a good movie. You saw the church's version. You probably saw Christian versions. Even though Christian versions pretty much don't do that. They just stick to the 10 Commandments and say it's so true. It's Charlton Heston. He's just immortal. Yul Brynner, too. So when I put in the pretty pictures in my videos repeatedly, now with Oaks as Pharaoh, you don't make the connection, huh? You don't believe it? You don't run the test? It's not just for false prophets. It's for false seers, false revelators, false Oh, they don't even have a translator mantle title. Oh, that's an automatic disqualification then. So why are you still following them? Joseph Smith had title and mantle of translator, along with the gift and power. But you thought it was a rock and a hat, didn't you? Did you see my pretty picture lately on that? For the 20th of March? I got a rock and a hat. I can plug it into my computer and show you the pictures. And you still don't believe, huh? How hard-hearted do you have to be until you have to be compelled to be humble? For Mormons are the children of Israel and the seed of Abraham, and must needs be bled out of bondage. Footnote B. I have forgotten to eliminate it when I put it in my videos. It is funny. And with a stretched out arm. I parted the waters in 2020's Exodus when Oaks secretly got leaked 4 years later, saying that they were only going to be running a test run that year. It was not a test run for me. I sent the letter to the presidency of the 70, the elders of Israel. That's what that video means, people. In advance. My transfer of authority for moving in February 2017. 202. 10 10:01 p.m. for Monson and Nelson. This church does not belong to them. They are the enemy. They are holding you in bondage. They're old, creepy, frail men that need external devices to even hold up their bodies. They are so doped up on psychotropic drugs from the Nazi psychologists that they think that Jesus speaks through them. With a multi-personality disorder. Incompetent to be able to read the scriptures, as they leave out key words. Replace key words. Oh, High Council in charge of tithing? No, we can't have that. We'll just say it's the 12 apostles. Really? And not a single Mormon checked them on that, huh? Is Joseph Smith true or not? This church says Joseph Smith is not true. They keep correcting him. But they keep saying he's our founder. They keep saying the Book of Mormon is our keystone. And instead they follow the villains' examples, not the prophets. To lie, to steal, to destroy, to murder you. And you thank thee, O God, for a false prophet, huh? Oh my hell. So, in the footnotes, section 107, 91 and 92, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses, who is the latter day Christ of the head of the church. It is not the keys of Peter. It is not the keys of Elijah. Or, that is Mosiah, the God Yah. But you need to know that. You think they're all separate individual people who are real, supernatural real. Huh? To be a seer, revelator, translator, and prophet, out of order. Translator. Translator is not revelator. Revelator is not translator. They're separate. God, bunch of mental retards leading this church. Only upon the head of the church. Now, Joseph Smith tried to teach people. Because of succession. The church doesn't want you to see the succession in verse 22. Of the Melchizedek priesthood. Who's involved in the Melchizedek priesthood? Melchizedek priesthood holders? Just the high priest? Just the quorum of the 12 apostles? Three presiding high priests, because Joseph Smith is the presiding high priest, chosen by the body. What body? Quorum of the 12 apostles? The Melchizedek priesthood. So I don't see how this church is justified in claiming to be the head of the church, to have authority to lead Mormons. This is not about the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, Irene, succeeding when the living prophet of Jesus dies. They're lying to us. This is what it means. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' prophet leaders lie. If they are not following the scriptures, they're false. They're lying. And I'm the bad guy, huh? I need to shut up, or you'll cyber terrorize me. You will shut me up, physically putting me to rights. What you deem is not right, that I must obey the leaders of the church, whether right or wrong, regardless of how morally ill-putrescent it is. Pure evil Mormons, that you could be this dense. Second Nephi chapter 3 verse 5. So Joseph of Egypt truly saw our day. This is not literal history, in case you forgot. He obtained a promise of the Lord that out of the fruit of his loins, the Lord God would raise up a righteous branch unto the house of Israel. Hey, Mormons, it's Joseph Smith, Jr. Not the Messiah, but Joseph Smith is to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah should be made manifest. Where's Jesus? Jesus hasn't been manifested. He didn't even show up for dress rehearsal. The Mormon is here unto Mormons in the latter days. I wonder what that date could be on the 23rd of September 2017 from Revelation 12, verses 1, 2, and 5. 5 getting moved to verse 3 in the Joseph Smith translation, which is, right there at the beginning of the Book of Mormon. That's why it's not literal history. So, the Book of Mormon shall hiss forth unto the ends of the earth for a standard unto my people the Mormons, which are the house of Israel. 2 Nephi 29. Tom Jones literally fulfilled this prophecy there in Corona. There on the sidewalk by his house. He was saying that his church is true. Born again Christian. His church that in those days was there at the corner of Corona High School, right across the street from the Stake Center, where I had seminary early morning. And because the Book of Mormon shall hiss forth, many of the Christians shall say, Tom Jones, take it. A Bible, we have got a Bible, and there cannot be any more Bible. His pastor taught the kids to mock Mormons by quoting that. But thus saith the Lord God, O fools. Oh, they didn't quote that? They shall have a Bible, and it shall proceed forth from the Jews. Mine ancient covenant people, not the Christians? Oh my God. And what thank Christians the Jews for the Bible which they have received from them? They stole it, turned it Christian. What do the Christians mean? Do Christians remember the travails and the labors and the pains of the Jews? You know, Babylon, Rome, 9th Ave, 9/11. And their diligence unto me in bringing forth salvation. Ooh, Jesus. Yahshua. Unto the Gentile Christians. O ye Christians, have you remembered the Jews, mine ancient covenant people? Unless you forgot, you're not the ancient covenant people, the Jews are. Nay, but ye have cursed them and have hated them. Really? The Jews murdered your immortal Jesus, huh? Well, Mormons say that Jesus is suicidal, took his own life. For his free atonement, paid back perpetually with 10%. Thou fool, that shall say, a Bible, we have got a Bible, and we need no more Bible. Have you obtained a Bible, save it were by the Jews? And you even left out some cool books. And then you translated them wrong. Then you interpreted the wrong translations wrong. And then you misdefined the incorrectly interpreted from the incorrectly translated words. 1 Nephi chapter 13 and 14. The plain and precious parts of the Book of Mormon. That Brigham Young destroyed too. Betrayers, Mormons. Betrayers. That is sufficient for today. This church does not belong to you, Oaks. Hand it over. Time's up. So there really isn't anything in the news other than ICE is now actually going to take over TSA positions. I warn, you don't listen, you don't care. Less than 2 weeks now. They've got to destroy the world with a 9/11 Armageddon disaster to start World War III. To have all hell break loose. Less than 2 weeks. Both Trump and Oaks have warned us that they are going to cause it. Less than 2 weeks, people. Don't think that Armageddon can get kicked into high gear with the whatever terroristic threat that will come, and not by an individual as it's been. We're talking a group of terrorists causing a mass casualty event on American soil. Trump failed last year. Humiliating the living prophet of Jesus. Nobody humiliates him. Right, Nelson? Nelson, I had a bread dream. Nelson, had a flood dream. Nelson, had a cookie dream. C is for cookie. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye-bye, my darling. Don't utter a single word. It's also the other bye-bye. Bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye. ABBA.